Peace was good. Welcome to the install my CD collection. This is part 11. You know, I got mad CDs and shit. The CDs that I'm gonna be covering are CDs that I bought, you know, recently. Dating back to maybe like a couple months ago, all the way up to last week. These are, CDs that I bought either on FYE or on Amazon. You know what I mean? So, without further ado, let's start with the first album. Agallah's, I guess, commercial debut album. You already know, and I'll explain why I said that. This is You Already Know, released in 2006. Overall, very dope album. You know, Agallah. For those who don't know what Agallah is, well, I'm not. You guys should know Agallah. You know, MC from Brownsville, Brooklyn. He's known for his affiliation with Onyx at one point. He was part of Dipset and stuff like that. And this is when he was, part of Dipset and shit like that. The reason why I said his commercial debut album is because he was supposed to release an album called Wrap Your Lips Around This back in '96, but it was shelved. And so it never came out until recently. But it was only like digital. It was like I believe he only released it digital. He didn't ever release like a physical copy, which kind of sucks because I want a physical copy of that album. Agallah, if you see this, or I know he's never gonna see this, but if he does, please release a physical re-release copy of your Wrap Your Lips Around This. I would love to see I would like to own a copy of that. But anyways, I think the only single off this album is New York Rider Music. Primo made the beat. There's a video for it, pretty dope. It definitely has that New York vibe to it. I highly recommend for people that like Dipset, old Dipset, not the fucking Bird Gang bullshit that's out right now. If you like Agallah beats, if you guys know how Agallah gets down the beats, definitely pick it up. He's a dope MC too. I feel like people don't really give him credit. I think people just like him for his beats, but people don't kind of overshadow him for his beats. I mean, for his lyrics and stuff like that. They don't really give him a chance and stuff like that. But I highly recommend this album. Pick it up. 1 second. Yeah, I played that song in the other review. Then we got Main Flow's first album, Castle Diplomat, released in 2002. Main Flow, for those who don't know, he's an MC from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's known as the lead rapper for the group Mood from Cincinnati. He has the same Mood from that High Tech is from. High Tech is part of the group. Joshson, I think that's how you say his name. Joshson, I think. I don't know how you say that. And Antelope, that same group that put out that album Doom back in '97. I need to get my hands on that album because that shit's a fucking classic. But anyways, getting back to this album, overall very dope. It's kind of reminiscent of that album, but not really. And it has some elements from that album mixed in with woo, had woo, like a woo vibe to it. Mix it with underground hip hop, and then you'll get this album. Highly recommend it, man. Main Flow, he's a fucking beast on the mic. Very underrated, in my opinion. Main Flow, Castle Diplomat, released in 2002. Go pick it up if you can find it. I believe that's out of print, if I'm not mistaken. Then we got Rubberoom, Architechnology, released in 1999. Rubberoom, for those who don't know what Rubberoom is, they're a group from Chicago. They put out an album called Gothic Architecture back in, I believe, '94 or '95. But it was a cassette only, and it wasn't it was something like, I believe it was only sold in Chicago, so it was kind of hard to get. You know what I mean? I would like for them to re-release that album and put that shit on a CD. I would love to own a copy of that album. My opinion, this album is fucking sick. If you guys like sci-fi hip hop, if you like sci-fi type of beats, mix it with horrorcore, then you'll like this album as far as the soundscape. Now, rhyming wise, they kind of remind me a little bit of Cannibal Ox and Company Flow, like that type of style, like the technical rapping and shit like that. They kind of remind me of that, you know, with the overcomplicated rhyming. Not always overcomplicated, but the technical rhyming and shit. Like I said before, very very dope. Very dark album. Like I said, if you pop the CD in, you feel like you're watching a sci-fi movie. That's how ill this shit is. My opinion, I always felt like they were kind of like Chicago's best kept secret. You know what I mean? Because these dudes, you know, they're official. Because when people think of Chicago, they think of, unfortunately, now they think of Chief Keef and fucking, you know, all these fucking whack ass dudes. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, definitely pick this up if you like underground hip hop. Then we got Tragedy Khadafi's 5th album, Doug Matrix, released in 2005. You already know about Tragedy Khadafi, man. He's a fucking beast on the mic, you know what I mean? Definitely responsible for the careers of, you know, CNN. He was responsible for starting a career. He pretty much discovered them. You know, he was responsible for, you know, he pretty much executive produced the War Report, and he was like responsible for that sound. You know what I mean? How the album sounded. Like, he was pretty much responsible for that. You know what I mean? But overall, very dope. Some of these songs I've heard before. Some of them I haven't. I feel like this is like more of a street album. Yeah, kind of like a street album more than a actual album. But, you know, overall, it's a dope album. It's not his best album, but I highly recommend picking this up if you're a fan of you know, Queensbridge hip hop. If you like, you know like Nas or Cormega and, you know, shit like then I highly recommend picking this album up. Doug Matrix, released in 2005. Then we got Killah Priest's Elizabeth album, released in 2009. Man, I must say, this album, man, this album is definitely one of his best albums. That's all I have to say. Dark, gritty, you know, Killah Priest in his angriest that you hear him from. Like, you just, the beats, man. Like, DJ Wool, man, he's a fucking dope producer, man. I'm glad that him and Killah Priest are working together, because, you know, they fucking work. Like, when they get together, it's like peanut butter and jelly, you know, mixed together and like just jammed it together, man. Like his lyrics mixing with the dark beats, fast-paced, up-tempo but fast-paced beats. I mean, hard drums, dark samples. I mean, you can't go wrong with that shit, man. I mean, expect a review on this album. Not anytime soon, because I have to go through a couple other albums before I get to this album. But Killah Priest, Elizabeth, released in 2009. Then we got GZA versus DJ Muggs Vs GZA Grandmasters, released in 2005. Very dope album. Highly recommend it, man. If you like GZA, you know, if you like GZA and you like DJ Muggs, his production, you guys already know the deal with this album. If you're expecting, you know, DJ Muggs is like, you know, earlier shit from the 90s, you're gonna be slightly disappointed. I mean, he definitely has like the elements in there, but with a new twist, you know what I mean? But it's still gritty, you know what I mean? It still has like that 90s vibe to it. If I had to say, I would say this and Liquid Swords is definitely his best albums, if I had to tell you that. Also like Pro Tools too, that was a dope album as well. Expect a review on these. Like I said, these albums are albums that I picked up recently that I haven't done a review for, so like I said, stay tuned for those. And then we got Nine's Cloud 9 album, released in 1996. I mentioned this before that I bought this directly from Nine himself. You know, I didn't meet him, but I'm friends with him on Facebook. He put up a status saying, like, you know, I got a couple copies of this album. You know, yeah, a couple copies of this album, and, you know, I'm selling them for like Like I did these sort of for like $40 or some shit like that. But you get an autograph, so you can't beat that. And I was like, yo, I have to get that. I know I'm being hypocritical of me saying I would never buy CDs over $20, but you know, I've been wanting this album for a while, and this is a very good album. And you know, to get it autographed by him, I mean, you can't beat that. You know what I mean? So it's one thing if I was to buy it from a different person, you know, from a random Joe Smo, and the motherfucker is selling it for like $50, then no, I wouldn't buy it. But if I'm buying it for $9, and he you know, he hasn't put out. I mean, he's putting out music, but you know, it's not really accessible like that. You know what I mean? But overall, very dope album. I highly recommend this album. I love this album. I like 9 Lives a little bit better, but this is actually a good album too. Known for songs Make a Tape featuring Smooth the Hustler. That was a big song back in the day. I think that was the only single off this album. Very dope album. It definitely leaves off where, you know, the first album did, but it's a little bit more darker than the first album. But overall, very dope album. I highly recommend it if you like mid-90s hip hop. There's this one song called Warriors with Bounty Killer. Very dope song. In fact, there's a song that he did with the same beat, but it's a different song. It's called Formaldehyde, and I believe it's just, you know, 9 by himself, but you know, with different lyrics or some shit like that. Definitely go pick this album up if you can find it, because it's out of print. It's hard to come by, and you know, it comes, you know, clean, no cracks, none of that shit, pristine condition. So it's like, you know, he never played it or anything, so it's like slightly used, excuse me. Very dope. Then we got Mos Def's debut album, Black on Both Sides, released in 1999. Classic album. Known for songs like Umi Says, what's that song? Miss Fat Booty, that was a big song back in the day. I believe that was like the only singles off this album. Very dope album. I'm not gonna lie, when this album came out, I kind of slept on it, you know what I mean? It's like, because around this time, you know, Pharoah Monch came out with Internal Affairs, and Mos Def came around the same time, and I was, you know, at the time, you know, I was listening to hip hop, but you know, I wasn't really into the whole conscious hip hop like that, you know what I mean? I was like more into the more hardcore, rugged shit, and you know, I was kind of sided with Pharoah Monch, you know what I mean? So, and that's why this sound kind of got overshadowed by me. But I love my boy Aaron. Shout out to my dude Aaron back home in Queens. You know, he used to play this album a lot, and I would listen to it. I was like, yo, this shit's type pot. So I highly recommend it. Expect the review for this. Then we got this album, Justice System. The group is called Justice System. Rooftop Soundcheck, released in 1994. Very dope album. To sum it up, if you guys like the Roots, or you know, like Brand New Heavies and people like that, like, you know, like live jazz, like live hip hop bands and shit like that, you will definitely enjoy this album. I think the only single off this album, I believe, is Dedication to Bambaataa and Summer in the City. Those are the 2 singles off this album. By the way, the Diamond D remix, the remix to Dedication to Bambaataa, yo, that's all I gotta say. And the Beatnuts, there's 2 Beatnuts remixes. There's the flamenco mix, and there's the Beatnuts, the regular Beatnuts mix. Look out for those. Those are fucking dope. You can find them on YouTube. Okay, next album, Rock Marciano's debut album, Marksburg, released in 2010. This is the reissue. This is the reissued version. When the album came out back in 2010, this came out last year, but this is, like I said, a release of the first album. So really 2010. But like, anyways, getting back to this, when this first came out in 2010, you know, I wasn't really buying CDs on Amazon. Like I was, but I kind of I wasn't heavy with it like I am now. You know what I mean? But and I kind of slept on the album. Not slept on it, but I didn't really pick it up. You know what I mean? But like I said, man, very dope album. I highly recommend it. My only gripe with this album is the digipack. I don't like these digipacks. They kind of piss me off because a lot of times like they they end up falling off because like the glue doesn't really stay that good. But this one is no this one they do their thing. And it's cool because it actually comes with the instrumentals right here. So I thought that was pretty cool. So if you're like an MC, then you can spit to it, or you don't want to hear his voice, because I heard a lot of people, they complain about his voice, like they don't really like his voice, like his voice is kind of like soft spoken, kind of squeaky. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I think it's kind of unique, for his style. You know what I mean? But if you guys know about Rock Marciano, you already know what you're getting yourself into. By the way, I need to get his, the Ka album. I need to get the Grief Pedigree, and I need to get his second album, Reloaded. I need to get those before those go out of print. Then we got various Blends Levitude, released in 1999. Very dope album, very dope West Coast underground group. They're a group from San Mateo, which is like the Bay Area, like around San Francisco, Oakland area. They're affiliated with Stone Throw, so all my Stone Throw fans should be familiar with this album. If not, definitely look it up. I believe they were affiliated with Peanut Butter Wolf in some sort of way. I'm not sure about that, but I know they did a song with him a while back. But overall very dope. I kind of like the whole, like that old school Blue Note jazz record vibe that it has going on with it. This album is very fucking dope. Like I said, it was released in 1999, but it sounded like it was recorded back in like 1993. I mean, that's how dope this album is. So if you used to tell me this album came out in 93, I would have believed you just by the production itself. Very dope. Highly recommended. And then we got Eve's second album, Scorpion, released in 2001. Overall, very dope. I like this album. This album might not be for everybody. Because a lot of people say, oh, it's this girl rap and shit like that, but she does her thing. She can actually rap, you know what I mean? Nowadays, I'm not really feeling her new stuff. I kind of like her first two albums, that's it. My opinion, this is probably like the last good album she ever put out. Known for songs Who's That Girl, Let Me Blow Your Mind featuring Gwen Stefani. I used to fucking hate that song with, Dr. Dre, and yeah, I didn't care for that song. Scream Double R. But Who's That Girl was pretty much the big song. Who's That Girl and Let Me Blow Your Mind, which I believe was like the only two singles off this album. But overall I like this album. It's not I like her first album a little bit better, but this album definitely has some gems into it. Pick it up. If you like, Foxy Brown, Little Kim, Emil, MCs like that, I definitely recommend you checking this album out. Then we got Funkmaster Flex 60 Minutes of Funk, Volume 4, the mixtape released in 2000. This one's okay. It's not too bad. It's not his best one. I prefer his first three. His first four, I should say. Because this is actually his fifth album. Because in '99 he put out The Tunnel with Big Cap, which I'm trying to get my hands on, but that's just out of print and it's hard to come by. But I definitely will be trying to look for that album, and as well as the first three mixtapes. I'm trying to get my hands on those because those are hip hop classics. But I think the biggest song of this album is Do You with DMX, because when I saw it came out back in 2000, that song is pretty big back in the day. Overall, I would pick it up if you like New York hip hop, like late 90s, early 2000s New York hip hop. I highly recommend it. Pick it up, even though it has like a lot more. It has a variety of other MCs, like from Nelly and people from the Midwest, the South, West Coast, and stuff like that. Oh, excuse me. Then we got Beastie Boys, Ill Communications, released in 1984. Very dope album. Very slept on in my opinion. Singles that I was known for. Short Shot, which was a single. Get It Together. Get It Together. The Buck Wild remix is pretty dope. Check that shit out. And the I believe the what's that song? Short Shot. I believe the Lost Professor remix. Oh my god, very dope. You know, it's a combination of boom bap, but also with like rock. I highly recommend this album. When you pop this in, like it really brings you back to New York City. It really brings you back to like Manhattan back in the mid '90s, man. Like that vibe. Like when I pop this in, it kind of reminds me of that movie Kids, with Larry Clark, with Leo Fitzpatrick and that guy Roach that played on Next Friday. Definitely check that movie out. Like when I popped the CD, it kind of reminded me of that movie, like that whole that city vibe. You know what I mean? It just reminds me of that. Highly recommend it. In my opinion, I believe this and Check Your Head is their best albums. A lot of people say Paul Revere, and I understand why, because of what it did to the game, because of all the samples that they used and shit like that. But those two albums that I just mentioned, this and Check Your Head, I don't know, there's something about it. It's just that raw, gritty vibe that it has. Then we got Sean Price's second album, Jesus Price Superstar, released in 2007. This album was okay. I don't want to say I was a little disappointed, but I was just so hyped off of Monkey Bars, you know what I mean? Because Monkey Bars was like a lot more gutter, you know what I mean? I guess this would be like his Supreme Clientele, like Ghostface Killah's Supreme Clientele. Same thing with you guys know what I'm trying to say with that. Excuse me. Yeah. It's a dope album, don't get me wrong. I like it, but it's not as good as Monkey Bars in my opinion. Although this album's a little bit more cohesive than Monkey Bars. And Monkey Bars is like more straight spitting in your face gutter shit. You know, this has a little bit more subject matter and stuff like that. Singles I was known for, I believe, The God, King Kong was a single. What else? I think Stop was a single as well. Yeah, I mean, dope album, man. Like I said, very dope. And with beats with you know, when you get beats from Ninth Wonder and Crisis, you can't beat that, man. I mean, those dudes they've been on their A game a lot lately. They just stepped their game up and shit like that. Very dope. Highly recommended. If you like Sean Price and like Dug Down Records type of shit. Then we got Necro's Brutality Part 1. This is a compilation album that came out back in 2003. Very dope album. I really like this album a lot. In my opinion, Necro around this time was in his prime, in my opinion, and as well as the shit they did in the 90s. Necro shit now is kind of hit or miss for me, and that's no shots towards him, because I like the shit he's putting out now, but I guess it's because of the production, because he hasn't changed his style as far as the lyrics or his rhyming scheme, but it's just the production that he's rapping over now. Like, I mean, yeah, you have to evolve, and I'm all for that, but I'm just so used to the old rugged, grimy production that he did back in the early 2000s and 90s, you know what I mean? Like, I Need Drugs, Gory Days, and Prefix for Death. Like, I like that style of Necro beats and stuff like that. But overall, very dope. If you like that sound, like that I'm talking about, you'll definitely enjoy this album. Pick this up. I believe the only single of this album is a song called White Slavery, which caused a lot of fucking controversy. So then we got Lootpack, Soundpieces, The Antidote, released in 1999. Overall, very dope. If you guys like Madlib, then you'll definitely enjoy this album. Lootpack, they're a group from Oxnard, California, which is like in the Bay Area and stuff. I believe that's in like in the Bay Area or some shit like that. I could be wrong about that, but or it could be like near LA. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me. I'm not from LA. I'm not from Cali, so all my Cali, you know, subscribers. I got some fans from Cali, so hit me up in the description box. Let me know what's good about that. But anyways, you know, they're known for their affiliation with what's that group? The Alcoholics. That's how they got their start. You know, that's how they got their foot in the door. They first appeared on their first album, 21 in Order, 21 in Order and Older, excuse me, and Coast to Coast, the first two albums, and that's how they got recognized and stuff like that. And they put out a 12-inch called Psycho Move, and then in 1999 they put this album out. Highly recommend it, man. If you like Madlib in his prime, in my opinion, because Madlib's stuff now, he's kind of hit and miss for me. But this is when Madlib was using like the SP1200. I like those beats, man. Like the beats that he used to use on the SP. Now he's using like the SP404, and I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling those beats. But I want him to get back on the SP, on the SP1200. If he can, I know he can, but he's not going to. But I highly recommend it. If you want to hear how Madlib sounded back in the late 90s or 90s in general, this is the album to pick up. Then we got Queen Latifah's first album, All Hail the Queen, released in 1989. Very dope album. I know a lot of people, especially some of my subscribers, are not hip to the 80s hip hop, so you might not like this album, but I would say give it a chance. If you're a hip hop head, definitely check this album out. I mean, you got beats from like Prince Paul, another dope producer, very underrated. 45 King, Daddy O, but you know, 45 King does a lot of production on this album. Yeah, man, this album is definitely got some shit. Definitely pick it up. You know, for songs like Ladies First, which was, I believe it was her first single, if I'm not mistaken. Rap for My Madness was like her biggest song. She does a thing on that song, you know what I mean? It's a very classic song. It's so classic that, you know, Primo actually remixed it and made his own version of that song. So it's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube. But definitely pick it up. Let me see how much time I got left. And alright, I'm gonna have to cut it short because, you know, but stay tuned for point 5. Alright, peace.